Okay, I'm going to review this hammer lug maker. It works. I've made about 10 or 15 lugs with it, and it works perfectly. As long as you know what you're doing, you're going to need a heavy hammer. This is a 4-pound small sledge. You know, wire cutters. You're going to need some. I have a heat gun. I already have a wire made up. I already did that one. The wire loom, heat shrink, and I already cut. I already cut back the wire. That's what those wire cutters will do. They'll cut back the insulation, and you place your lug on there. Okay. And the next thing you're going to do is place it in this. Okay. Now I read in one of the reviews, it's like you have to use a concrete floor. Well, of course you need a hard surface. You need to do this on a hard surface, and you need a heavy hammer. Okay? And so, and this little peg here, this little peg right here, this little baby peg, this is not designed to use as a hammer. You don't hit this with anything. All you're gonna do, it's really hard to do this one hand. But you see that? All you do is lift up. You lift up. That's it. Okay? And you see those little grooves in there? The lug will sit in there depending on what size you use. Okay? So I'm going to pause this and then get the lug in there, and then I'll show you. Okay. So now it's in the holder. It's in the lug maker. Okay. You see that little lip? It catches on those little grooves down there. So it can't slide. So once the lug is in there, it can't slide forward anymore. Okay? So you just got to make sure you have to hold. Well, you got to make sure this wire is all the way in. And you see where the striker is on the lug itself? Okay. So normally if I have two hands, I'd be pushing on this wire a little bit in order to hold it in there properly, but I'm going to do it without holding the wire. So if it comes out a little bit, that's because I'm not pushing the wire forward, which you need to push the wire forward. Okay? So then you're going to take the persuader, alright, and you're just going to hit this 1, 2. Now normally I'll be holding it, okay? That's what, it's not going to fly around because I'm going to have a hand on it. Alright, and I'm going to give it one more good swing. There, see? There. Okay, now you use that little pin. Sometimes it sticks on there. If it sticks on there, do not use the hammer to get it to strike down on this thing. Do not use the hammer on this. Okay? So now I'm doing this one-handed. Look. Look at that. Okay? Look at that. Now normally, see how there's a little separation there? If I was holding it with my other hand and not filming, that would have been all the way on there. Or maybe I cut the wire too long. You got to make sure that the bare wire is not long enough. Okay? Okay, this is on there pretty good. I'm trying to do it with one hand. It's tough, but it's on there. You see how see the little divot it makes? Makes a good. I don't know if this is focusing or not. Actually, it is. Makes a good divot. Squishes it out. Now, this does not work as well on CCA wire as it does on OFC wire. OFC wire is made of pure copper and is much harder. The strands are much harder. The CCA wire is aluminum and it's much softer. Okay, so you're going to get a little more flex out of this part. But in order to combat that, then let me see if I can do this one-handed. you'll move your heat shrink up, right? Alright, and then you're just going to heat shrink it down. Alright, now I'll pause this, I'll heat shrink it. And then we'll see it. So now, look, with the heat shrink on there, this thing is complete crimped lug on 1 gauge wire. That's an old side. I just had this extra laying around. This is my old wire I used. Then I switched over to CCA, or correction, I switched over to OFC. This was the original wire. I had the CCA, and I switched. But I made this little video for the people who don't understand how to use this machine, or are complaining because it's broke or it's whatever. This is probably one of the easiest machines to use. You don't even need directions. So it's pretty simple. Make sure you have yourself a good size hammer on a hard surface, some good wire cutters, the correct lug for the size wire you're using. I would use some loom. This stretchy loom is very good stuff. I love this stuff. And then heat shrink the end. And you'll never have, this will not now, this with the heat shrink on there, this will not bend either way. This gives it extra support too. Okay. Once this cools, it's warm right now, so it might be a little more flexible. But once this cools, this end is cool. This end is cool. So this thing doesn't even bend right in through here. Look at this. It's bending right down here. So you can turn this sideways and everything, and that lug is not coming off of there. Okay? Alright.